that I thought that Mexico will not extradite anyone if the death penalty is on the table.
Yeah, there may be a deal in the extradition where they would not seek the death penalty if Mexico would extradite him. So in other words, that could be part of the deal in the extradition.
It must be, because and nobody's mentioned it on any of the news stations. But I'm just thinking. Of course, you're probably against the death penalty. So many people are these days, and I'm on the fence. But if anybody deserves it, I think he does. Moving on to Stephen Avery. I did watch the 10 hours of the documentary, and to me it was very one-sided, very defense-slanted, which I don't have a problem with that, because I always am interested in people that truly, truly deserve to be heard by the Innocence Project and have their case brought to court, as was his first conviction, and that was a real horrible, horrible thing. But I do think that no one could really judge his case of this murder with a 10-hour documentary. I personally would have loved to have watched the whole trial in its entirety, because I'm a huge, huge fan and was an avid watcher of court TV. And that's what I would do. I'd come home from work and I'd, put my VHS tapes in, and I would watch trial after trial after trial. So I don't think anybody really, really got the full picture of what was presented from the prosecution, and I don't really know if he's guilty or not. But do you agree also that people need to see both sides before they start writing letters and sending letters and all that stuff?
That's one of the most intelligent reactions to the Avery case that I've heard, really. And you give great insight on the death penalty issue with Mexico and on extradition, because you're right. Most countries will not extradite if a death penalty is on the books, and even if some of the sentencing guidelines are so off the charts, they won't extradite. But as far as the Avery case goes, yeah, I mean, I'm always a proponent of both sides of the coin, not just one, not just the government version in an indictment, and not just a defense version like this documentary. So you're right. You have to see, in order to intelligently come to grips with what you think should be the right thing here, you have to look at what was the evidence at the trial, because that's really all that counts here, is what was the evidence during the trial, and you have to weigh that evidence. And now you look at this documentary and see, is there anything to disrupt that? Is there anything new here that should have been in the trial that would have changed the disposition of the trial, or was there malfeasance, or was there something that came about after the fact, new evidence that needs to be brought to the attention of a judge and a jury? So, right, two sides of the coin, that's very important. You can't just look at one position and then come up with your interpretation, although this documentary, some of the things that happened in there look pretty bad, I got to tell you.
Well, I have to agree that how they portrayed the investigation, I mean, just really made my blood boil, because this man had a lawsuit. I think that the county that he came from, or the police department, should have never, ever, ever set foot on his property, and should have immediately called an outside police department and had them do all of the investigation. That really, really bothered me. So I think that's a huge lesson in Investigations 101. And I know it seemed like to be a very small town. I mean, it wasn't like a major, major big city, but there very well could have been a lot of hatred for this whole Avery family from the police department.
Well, there was. There was. That's a given.
And that's a given. It bothers me that today there just should be more clear-cut lines, like, didn't they get the memo? Don't go there. Those things really, really bother me. Moving on to Bill Cosby, because I'm sure there's other people that want to call and talk to you, Richard and Jordan. I don't know if he's guilty or innocent. Like you said, nobody will really know. However, I truly believe that if the former district attorney gave him that deal, it should be honored. And I hate to see, they always say it's better for one guilty man to go free than 10 innocent to be locked up. I truly believe that too. But I think that this deal should be honored, and I have a lot of issues with the 50-plus women. I don't want to say that they're not telling the truth. It's so confusing, and it's just it's incredible. I mean, this many women. And as far as Gloria Allwrong, and I love your nickname for her. I love it. Okay, she bothers me, number one, for having this this whole group of women that obviously she's representing. But I think when I really got turned off by Miss Allwrong was during the Tiger Woods fiasco, when he was cheating on his wife. And then all of a sudden, she is representing all of these women that cheated with Tiger. And that's it. They cheated with him. I mean, I was talking to myself, how could she represent a woman knowingly committing adultery? I mean, and now she's representing these women. And I don't think she represents anyone that does not have a vagina. I just have to say that out loud, because I have never seen her represent a man. And I don't know why, but I just never have. So I do believe that Bill Cosby has been convicted in the court of public opinion already. And, so many people are tried in the court of public opinion, and I think it really, really can mess up a trial. But then again, look at Michael Jackson and the wonderful way that his attorney tried his case, and he was exonerated. So sometimes public opinion doesn't really matter when you're actually in the courtroom, and I hope that's true. I really hope it's true. And then as far as Jimmy, this 75-year-old, do you know, Richard, has anyone ever been found that they're faking this mental capacity? I've only seen it on The Sopranos and Law and Order, so I was wondering if you've ever seen it truly in real life.
Yeah, no, they're objective testing, and the government gets to have their expert examine, and if the government's expert, I mean, they may not say they're faking, but they may say their findings are different than the defense expert, and then the judge makes an ultimate determination. So, in reality, yeah, they were faking. So, look, this man's an older man now. If he gets convicted, he dies in prison. So he's fighting for his life. He's fighting for his life.
If he's guilty, yeah, if he's guilty.
Well,
gosh darn it, it has been a pleasure, and I don't want to hold anybody else up, but thank you so much for taking my call, and thank you for answering all the questions.
Wonderful. Thank you for calling.
Okay, good night. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go out to Virginia, and let's say good evening to Mary. Good evening, Mary. You're live on King Jordan Radio on a Thursday night with Richard Herman.
Hi, and Mr. Herman. You guys hear me okay?
Breaking up a little bit to just try to get your question in, and I'll try to see if I could hear it, and then I'll relay it.
Okay. I know the same I believe that the Cosby is actually a victim and not a last person.
One more time, Mary.
I of the few women who believe that Cosby is.
Unfortunately, we're not getting you. We'll try to come back to you. So yeah, we'll try to come back to you in a minute or so. But yeah, people are taking your side, Richard. Sarah, definitely a great caller, right? She was on point with everything.
Yeah, I mean, very insightful, great questions, and understands the law and listen carefully to things, and wonderful caller. Enjoyed talking with her.
Right.
I guess the woman calling now is saying that most women are siding with the women that are filing complaints against Cosby, and you can understand that. I mean, if anyone's been violated or God forbid they've been raped or molested against their will, then you're going to be very sensitive to a case like this, and you're going to align yourself with people that are attacking someone like Cosby. But, you have to understand that, what's his defense to this? I mean, these people are getting up there. They're making these allegations against him. They have no proof other than their word, what they're saying happened 30, 40 years ago. And there he is. And so what's he supposed to do? He's going to deny it or ignore it, and then everybody goes crazy and says, he's an animal and he molested these people, and he may not have, and that's the point. And they had an opportunity to do something back then. They didn't. To me, that speaks volumes. And like Tom Mesereau said, we don't know who these people are. We don't know their history. We don't know their propensities. We don't know if they're looking to get a payday in court. We don't know if they were party girls back then. We don't know what kind of drugs they were doing back then, or alcohol, or a mixture of both, or what. We don't know any of this. All we're hearing is a blank accusation of an event that took place, a horrible event, that may have taken place 30 or 40 years ago. That's all we're hearing. And based on that accusation alone, Cosby's been annihilated, completely annihilated. It's not fair.
Yeah, and a lot of people could have just jumped on the bandwagon. So that's definitely a possibility. But let's try Mary one last time. Mary, let's try you now. Are you with us?
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
A little better. A little bit better. Yeah, Mary, if you want, you can message me the question, because I don't think we could hear you that well, unfortunately.
Maybe a little pre-snow in Virginia there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. There you go. I heard you now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Right now I could hear you, yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Go.
Well, it's really exciting to speak with Mr. Herman and you again, Jordan. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Herman, I am one of the few women who don't believe that Cosby is a rapist. I think he's a victim. As a matter of fact.
Gloria Allwrong would disagree with you, but I think he is a victim because there's nothing for him. There's nothing he can do to defend himself right now.
Well, here's the thing. I believe everything. You were right on point with everything that you said. In the 30 years ago, the culture was you went to all these parties. There were drugs everywhere, and it was a free for all. What do you think these women would think if they went to the Playboy Mansion and they went up to a room by themselves with a star like Bill Cosby? Did they think they were going to play canasta? I mean, to some extent, they knew what they were going to do. They probably wanted a step up in the ladder of success. And in those days, sex with drugs enhanced the sexual experience, actually. So.
But we're not going to ask how you know that, Mary. But
no, you know what?
We've heard that from a lot of people. So we'll go with that.
I never have done drugs, but I work in the medical profession. So it lowers your inhibitions. But anyway,
I don't know about Benadryl, but certainly Quaaludes supposedly had that effect. And
well, Benadryl can actually kill you if you take too much. Benadryl just makes you very, very relaxed.
Right.
But anyway, I think it's horrible what they're doing to him.